So in today's session, we will learn about the Django level 3. And we have completed Django level 1 and Django level 2. And in Django level 1, we have learned about how to make a Django project and Django app. And we also have learned about templates and static files in Django level 1. And Django level 2, we have learned about model template views. Okay. So that is very important functionality of Django framework. Now, further moving onwards, we will learn uh, one of the major properties of Django, that is how to create forms and how to uh, enter the data into that forms, and that will store into the Django framework database. Okay, so welcome to Django level 3, and hopefully you are now excited by the possibilities of the MTB workflows we have learned about. So we have already learned about MTB workflows. So MTB means model, template, and views. And we are still missing a big piece to creating a full website. So basically, we have not learned yet how to make full website using the Django application, but we have learned some part. Okay, some starting part. So how to start a Django frameworks to make any web application, complete websites. So we are moving forwards and we are completing all the things, remaining things. Then we will, at the end, ultimately, we will make a complete website. Okay. So now we are still missing how to take the user input on our website. Okay. We already generated some data from the backend, from the database using the models, and that data dynamically come from the backend, and that's shown on the front end of the website, but we have not seen how to enter users details and how to log in users and how to say to the users to fill this information to the web page. And this also will be done by the Django framework, and this will we learn in the coming session. Okay, so you already know how user put and fill the information. So we need one functionality, that is forms. So using the forms, we actually make the users so they can enter some information into that form. Then we get that information from the user. So in this section, we will covering how to use Django forms to accept user input and connect it to the database and retrieve it later on. Okay, so I hope you understand by reading this. So we will covering how to use Django forms to accept user input. So basically, we will create the Django forms in this module and to accept user input and connect it to the database. Basically, the MySQL, that is NoSQL database we have in this Django framework. So we will connect that form to the database, and that information will user will submit, and that will directly go to that database. Okay, and then after that we will retrieve that information later. Okay, so let's get started, and I will tell you some basic things about basic forms. So we will start from the basic forms first of all, then we will go toward the big forms. Okay, and you know what type of basic forms we can see. We can see the basic forms like enter the first name, last name, and email ID, and then uh, phone number. These are the basic forms. So from these forms only we will start. Okay. So in this lecture we will conceptually walk through. So first of all, I will show you how to write code for that forms, and I will show you different modules, files, so which you need to write some code for the forms. So in this lecture, we will conceptually walk through the process of creating a form with Django. And we have covered forms when discussing HTML. So why bother with demo forms? So you already know in HTML session, I already covered how to create a forms and how to create the structure of the form using the HTML. You already know about that. But there is one functionality in Django also for making forms. But there is one question why we bother with for forms in Django. But in HTML we cannot store the forms information into the database, and we cannot retrieve that from the database. But here in Django we can send that information into the database and we can retrieve that information. Okay, so that's why we need forms in Django also. And what extra features do they bring? We will see about that. So Django Forms advantages is that it quickly generate HTML form widgets. Uh, Generally, we write only one tag, that is form, in double curly brackets, and that automatically generate HTML forms on every page, on that page you want to generate. Then validate data and process it into a Python data structure. So we need to validate the information, the forms, and we need to validate the forms. Okay, so after that, we create form versions of our models and quickly update models from forms. So form version of models means we will create the care fields and what and how much care fields you want in the database for regarding to that forms. We need to create that, and basically we also need to create the models for that forms. Okay, the first thing we need to do is to create a forms.py file inside the application. So first of all, what we need to do, we need to make a Django application, Django project. We need to start that, and inside the Django project, we first what we do, we first create the forms.py one file, that is .py Python file, and inside that application we write subcode. After that, we will call Django's built-in forms classes. Looks like very similar to creating models. And inside that file only, .py files, we will call that built-in classes. And you can see the example. So this is the example of forms.py. We will write that code only, and this is the syntax. So from Django, we will import forms. Like from Django, we are importing different things. So in Django, one library that is regarding to the forms already available, but we need to call that if you use the property of the forms. Okay, so we need that for that class form name. Okay, so we'll write the class, and inside the class we will write the class name, then forms.form. This is the argument we are passing here in that class, and this is using that forms. So from forms, and we are importing the forms, and the name is the one char field, and the email is the next char field, and the text is the next text field, in which we can enter the description about yourself, okay, about user. Note how similar this feels to creating a model. So this is like you can see this is like creating a model. If you remember, in models we created classes, many classes. As we have created three models, you already know. And that three models we have created three classes. Okay. So here also you can see we have created one class for regarding to the form. So this is similar to like creating models. So now that we have the form created inside the application's forms.py file, and we need to show it by using a view. Okay, so in views.py we need to add some lines of code, some syntax, this type of syntax, and then only you can able to view that form to the users. Okay, users only able to view that forms. Okay, so inside our views.py you can see views.py file, we need to import the forms two ways to do this. First ways we can from dot means from everything means from a whole part of Django we can import forms, and from forms import form name. Okay, so that dot just indicate to import from the same directory as the current .py file. So you are importing from the same file, that .py file. Okay, so this way you can import the form name also. Okay, after that, and first you need to import the forms from that Python file, and from forms you need to import the form name, and that is the class name. So we can then create a new view for the forms, and you can see this is the new view. So here we define a one function, that is form name view. This is a function, and here we are passing the request, and form equal to forms dot form name, and return render that request. Okay, and this already you know how to uh, make a view for Django application. I already write some views for you. Okay, in Django 1 and Django level 2 part. Then we just add the views to the app's URL either directly or with include. Okay, and this way you can add. So this is the URLs we can add, form page URL we can add, index page URL we can add, and as many page you want you can add that URL. by using this syntax. But this R syntax is the older version of syntax of Django. But right now there is some updation in the Django framework whole. So we are using the path method. Okay, so if you write this syntax, this will give you the error. Okay, this will give you the error, and this will we need to solve using the path method. So we can then create the templates folder along with the HTML file that will hold the template tagging for the form. So inside the template folder, you can see inside the template folder, we are including many HTML files as we want. So first of all, we need index.html. So then after we need forms.html. But before that, we need to create complete template and remember to update the settings.py file to reflect the template directory. And this already you know. And I also will do for you, and you will understand how to create the Django application from the starting and how to create the forms. Okay, so first of all, I will give you the idea about the theory part, and then we'll discuss about the code part. Okay, also remember that your views should reflect the subdirectories inside templates. So inside the template, you can create many folders, you can create any directories. Okay, according to that, you can give the URLs, and you can make the views also. So now everything is set up for us to go into the form name.html file inside templates. Then inside template, we will create one basic app directory. Inside the basic app directory, actual template tagging we will add, and that will also I will show you. Okay, that will create the Django form. Okay, so there are several ways you can inject the form using template tagging, and you can just pass in the key from the context dictionary. Okay, this form key you need to pass. And before we continue about this, let's have a quick side discussion about three topics. So basically, we have three topics, that is HTTP, GET, or POST. So these three are the request and response method, and we can give these three topics to basically uh, these three types will tell you which type of form you want and how to send the information to the user and how the user get the information. So HTTP, you know, it stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol and is designed to enable communication between a client and the server. Client, basically, you can see user which is coming to your website, that is client, and server is the your website. You can see server is your website, and then this information is communication. This communication is happening by the use of HTTPS or HTTP. And the client submits a request. Client to submit a request, the server then responds. Means client submit a request in form, then that form will respond. Okay, the most commonly used methods for this request and response protocol are GET and POST. So this response and request and response protocol, most commonly used method, basically for forms we are using GET and POST to that is most famous method. So GET actually requests data from a resource. Okay, and POST submit data to be processed to a resource. So when you want some information, so that information will come from a resource using the GET request, and the format submit data to be processed to resource. So using the post format, you can submit data. So that is you need to process. Okay, and those are the basic that we need to know for now. But you can also go to w3schools.com website, or you can learn about GET or POST for some more details, like what remains in browser history or what can be cached for future use. Once you have put in the form this tag, you should be able to see a very basic and ugly form on the page, and you need to design that. Okay, so however there is no form tag there, let's look at what a more complicated form HTML page would look like, and I can show you. This is a one form page.html in Django. So here you can see this is the class container, and this is the bootstrap class, and You can say how we are using the Bootstrap. Inside the top of the page, we need to include the link of Bootstrap. Then only you can able to use the class of Bootstrap. And this class I have used container. Then this will make our view of the web page of forms looking as a good. So inside the form, this method is post, and this is the tag forms.sp, and this will give us one type of form in which form in the form of form in the form of paragraph. Okay, so here we need to include the CSRF token, and that is actually validating the form. So this is the submit button, and this is form page.html. We will make into that application, and some added bootstrap class, styling class. Okay, so these are the button primary. These are the class bootstrap class you need to include, and also call forms as p, which uses paragraph tag inside that form. So that's why it called that forms as p. This gives it a nice format to work with. Okay, check the Django code docs for others types of forms. You can go to Django documentation website, and you can also add CSRF token. We have added about that. Okay, this is also very important. So this is the first time we have encountered thinking about site security measures. So CSRF is actually site security measures. So this is cross-site request forgery, we can say. This is one type of security token which requires the HTTP post action that is initiated on the subsequent submission of a form. So whenever anyone is submitting any form, that information will not taken by any hacker. So these things will be taken care of by CSRF token. If you not include a CSRF token, so that information may be lost. Okay, so we need to include the CSRF token so that that information cannot be taken by anyone. The Django frameworks require this CSRF token to be present. It is not there, your form may not work. Okay, your information also will not work. It works by using a hidden input, and that input you cannot see, which is random code, and checking that is matches the user's local site page. So you just need to remember to put the template tag there, and you don't need to worry about the background. Now that we can show the form, let's discuss how to actually handle the form in a view. So I will tell you how to handle the form in view. So right now, if we hit submit, nothing will happen. So so I have shown you the code, and inside that code we have submit button. If you hit submit without CRS token, nothing will happen. We need to inform the view that if we get a post back, we would check if the data is valid, and if so, grab that data. So for that we need to include some valid checks. We can do this by editing the view. Okay, we will talk a lot more about forms validation later on, but upon receiving a validation form, we can access dictionary like attributes of the clean data. So this is a complete form, you can see. So form name view inside this, and forms equal to forms.form name. Check to see if we get a post back. So this is the check for post method. So request dot method is what type of request dot method? Post type. So in which case we pass in that request. So form equal to forms name, and we will pass the request here. So this is the post method, and you will see the resource information on your web page on your command line editor. So forms check to see form is valid or not. So for that we need to include this valid form dot is valid. Okay, so this will check if your form is valid, then form validation success, and console may you will print these information: name, email, and text that is available in your form. Okay, these three things, name, email, and text, we have made into that form models, and that information will be print in the console. Okay, so then return basic app form page.html and form equal to form. So this is the complete form. Inside we have this checks post and is valid. So, all right, we still have more topics to cover like customized form validation and connecting forms to a model. So let's get some practice with that we know as so far and create a basic form project and application from scratch. So now the code part is remaining. So once we have done that, we'll revisit our original first project and the original first project that we have created in the starting and see how we can add a form that connects to a model. So first of all, we will actually in that form module and form tutorial. So I will create a one new application, and inside that new application, I will actually make a form and I will code and will show you how to make a form. And after making that form, so I will also enter the information into that form and that information will be shown in the console. And after that, we will go to the first application in which we have made some web page in which we are getting information from the backend. So inside that application, our first application, I will implement that form in front of you. So you will understand how forms will be implemented and forms validation and these things will also we will learn in detail also. So not today, in the coming days, maybe on weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I will take another lecture regarding to that form and I will write full code. Okay. So thank you guys for joining this session and let me stop the recording.